All right, our final part 6 of the book Metabolical. We're going to talk about food fraud. This one's going to be a long one. You're in for a doozy. There are 6 examples of food fraud that reach your restaurants or grocery store shelves without your knowledge. One is dilution and adulteration, which is something is added to the food to disguise or extend it. The next is substitution. It's common for restaurants or food stands to substitute something of lesser value in an attempt to reap a higher profit. Then you have intentional contamination and concealment. A famous international case occurred in 2008 where melamine was found in infant formula and other dairy products. In China, the milk was being diluted by dairy producers so more of it could be sold. The dilution decreased the amount of protein in milk, so the dairy producer replaced the natural milk protein with melamine, a nitrogen-rich compound used to make kitchen countertops. When ingested, melamine causes kidney stones and kidney failure. Another example is Parmesan cheese in 2012. Cellulose, a byproduct of wood digestion, was added to several brands. In fact, one brand didn't even have any cheese in the product at all. Next is country of origin. Many food items are prized because they come from unique places, but what if that place isn't so unique? For instance, beer-battered pollock might come fresh from the waters of Alaska, or it might come frozen from a basin in China. More likely, the reason for this kind of fraud is to avoid paying duty on imported goods such as alcohol. Organic. I know you probably weren't expecting that one. Organic. You might think that buying organic would save you from fraud, but you would be wrong. The markup on organic is enormous, anywhere from 25% for avocados to 65% for milk. Furthermore, there's a clear economic impetus to mark individual items as organic, as the only way to be caught is through laboratory analysis. So someone could say they are organic, but really they're not, and you're just paying them money for no reason. Not to mention a lot of organic things may not even be worth it. So, counterfeiting. Perhaps the most brazen of all food fraud occurs in the luxury space, finding out that some high rollers were duped by the counterfeiting of rare wines and scotches. In the meantime, what can you do to protect your health and your wallet from food fraud? It's tough to say, but there are 3 precepts to remember. The more ingredients, the more risk. Like salted peanuts have 3 ingredients, Oreos have 11. Avoid highly processed food. Buying organic may decrease your risk for cancer, but it increases the risk of fraud because fraudsters focus on organic due to the higher profit margin. Buy from the supplier directly, so like the farmer or the farmer's market. Fewer middlemen mean fewer entities jacking up the price and people to hide behind, as well as more direct and face-to-face responsibility to the consumer. Distracting away the real problem. We have the data to demonstrate that processed food is primarily causative factor for diabetes, fatty liver disease, heart disease, and tooth decay, correlative for cancer, dementia, hypertension, addiction to other substances, and depression, as well as plausible for autoimmune disease and anxiety. But when the food industry addresses these issues in public, they only refer to the obesity epidemic. Then we have knowledge. Can you trust the food industry to tell you when something is healthy or not? People have no idea what they're eating. No idea. The Nutrition Labeling and Education Act of 1990 gave us our current food label, which was supposed to provide information to the consumer of what's in the food, but of course, says nothing about what's been done to render it poisonous. The food label is currently unintelligible, in part because the industry skirts the rules. What the public needs to know, protect the liver and feed the gut, is what's been done to the food. But that's exactly the information that's withheld. Then we have access. With 74% of foods in the supermarket containing added sugar, it has become almost unavoidable that you will knowingly or unknowingly consume contaminated foods in your daily life. Processed foods are quick, easy, and have permeated workplaces, gyms, schools, and your refrigerator. People in poor neighborhoods live in food deserts without access to real food because grocery stores are hard to come by. But the problem of food deserts becomes magnified when those same areas are rife with fast food outlets and convenience stores that provide only processed items because of shelf life and deprecation. Sometimes these are called food swamps, the density of which predicts obesity and chronic disease in poor populations even better than food deserts. Affordability. Assuming one wants to buy healthy and has access to it, they have to be able to afford it. However, the cost of obesity to the individual ends up much higher. The amount of money they pay directly for healthcare is double that of a person of normal weight. Normal, I say. Furthermore, if you're working 3 jobs and have kids, then you need something quick and easy. Affordability is coming from a place of privilege, not just in cost of food, but in time for menu planning and all of those other things that come with it. It's one of the many social justice issues. If you don't have the time or the money to prepare and process real food, what options do you have? And the processed food industry has positioned itself to perfectly fill that gap. Externalities. The belief that your actions can't harm anyone else needs reconsideration. The medical costs of chronic metabolic disease due to processed food consumption will cause a doubling of social network costs in the next decade. In conclusion, no label, packaging, or jingle can make an ultra-processed food healthy. Furthermore, you can't make processed food healthy by adding supplements. Conversely, real food, which is universally healthy, doesn't even have a label on it which to make a structure, function, or health claim. Most important, it is not what's in the food that matters. It's what's been done to the food that counts. None of that is on a nutrition facts label. Processed food kills people eventually. Processed food kills pocketbooks eventually. Processed food kills budgets eventually. And processed food kills the planet eventually. It's a slow process. It's glacial. But we know it's happening, or at least some of us do. Others of us keep doing it anyway because it's mindless, seemingly cheap, convenient, tasty, and most of all, addictive. It turns out most people think that deciding what to make for dinner and then buying the ingredients is an enormous hassle. They want what's good for their household, but trying to pick out food based on health and ingredients is impossible, and the inadequacy of our current food label becomes overwhelming. They don't know how to read packaging, and they certainly don't know how to make food choices based on it. When they enter the supermarket, they fall prey to the siren songs of tortilla chips, soft drinks, and cookies. Here are the 7 shopping rules to abide by even before you walk into the store or order online that will keep you from stepping on any of the landmines the store has placed in your way. 1 is don't go shopping hungry. Shop the edges of the supermarket. If you've gone into the aisles, you've gone off the rails, except for beans and frozen fruits and vegetables. If a product is on an end cap of an aisle, so like it's facing out this part, so aisle end cap, the company paid to have it there. Okay, any food that has a logo you've heard or any food with a nutrition facts label has been processed. If a product lists a structure function claim on the package, don't buy it. Example, any food that says low fat or no trans fats is poison because something else is in there instead to replace it. If it doesn't say whole grain, it isn't. And even if it does say whole grain, it probably isn't. If the carbohydrate to fiber ratio is greater than 10:1, don't buy it. If any form of sugar is one of the first 3 ingredients, it's a dessert. Change your grocery buying habits. If you have a local butcher or produce store, shop there. Your choices are limited to the healthy stuff. Unfortunately, so many convenience stores around the country don't sell fresh produce. So go to the proprietor and tell them what you want. You'll also have to change your mindset about food and money. One way or another, you're going to pay. You can either pay the farmer or the doctor. Which would you prefer? Make a conscious choice.